you very much for staying tuned to the Nigerian Television Authority. My name is Cecil Egbele, and you're watching the Medley Show. Today's topic is different. Yeah, I'll call it different. You know, many times I hear many people talking about different things, trying to know what should or should not be, what can they do in many situations. Sometimes I listen on radio, on TV, I read on papers, or even I just hear among friends. For instance, you have an issue of a landlord and a tenant relationship gone sour. Yeah, so sometimes the landlord will say, "It is my property, I'll push you out." Then the tenant says, "No, I have, according to the law, I have 3 months, 6 months, and all that stuff." Well, these are some of the instances that we want to talk about today. Today's program is titled The Law 101, Civil Disputes. Now, what we are trying to do on the program today is to introduce you to the basic of everyday issues or disputes you might come across and what the law says about it. We're not going to go into details. We are just going to try to scratch the surface of a little here and a little there, just as an introduction. Maybe in the future, we'll see how much we can go into this. So, civil issues, civil disputes will be the topic of our program today and what the law says about it. My name, once again, is Cecil Egbele, and I have 2 guests with me on set, and I would get to introduce them right now. First, let me start with the lady. Let me start with the lady. She is Chiwendu Stella Ugezu. All right, so she is a barrister, solicitor, and what's that? You own your
Stella Law Firm.
Stella Law Firm. Yes. All right, so you own your own.
Yes.
A big girl. All right, thank you very much, Stella, for coming around. Next to Stella is the only man on set, Henry Leonard. Henry Leonard, of course, is also a barrister, solicitor. You know, that's what they wear, white, black and white, yeah. And your firm is?
Leonard and Zong. I'm the principal partner of Leonard and Zong.
Principal partner, Leonard. Okay, that's good. All right, so they'll be our guests today, and together we'll see how we can touch around different issues and different dispute issues, and what's the first thing or how to go about resolving it before, you know, does civil issues ever get to Supreme Court?
Why not?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay. You know, first of all, maybe we should start with knowing the different kinds of courts that we have. You know, we went on the streets. We have a feature which takes a look. Voxpop went on the street to ask people if they are aware of the kind of courts that we have. And, well, some of them, they had very varied opinions, different opinions and all. We'll take that as we get on with the program. But first of all, we put together a little skit. And this skit is addressing the issue of tenant-landlord relationship. We'll use that as a peg to start our story, and then we'll talk a little more. All right, quickly, let's have a look at that, and then we'll be right back.
I can't believe what they're doing. And these are human beings.
That's very wicked of her to think that that's her brother.
What are people thinking? This is evil.
It's too extreme.
And they are behaving like this on a daily, every single day. They won't change.
Your rent is due for 2 weeks now. I need to see your phone, but get a message from you. Please, ma, please, ma. This is a government property, Mr. Please, I'm giving you just 1 week. 1 week. If I don't get my money, please just pack out. Please, a week. Please. Thank you. Where is this boy again?
Sorry, ma.
Have a seat. Please, some of your guys should accompany you to my property at Abuja. I've given them notice since last week. So if you didn't hear from me, please pack their load out and I need that to be done very well, please.
Okay, ma, I can definitely trust on us, ma.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They are not ready to pay their rent. Back everything. I don't say since I do. Don't beg me. You're not ready to pay your rent. Pack everything outside.
Our children are still.
I don't hear you. Don't beg me. Don't beg me.
They're coming from that.
When you are ready to pay your rent, go on.
Definitely pay.
Are you done?
There's no, they're going for. Please. Stop.
Don't beg me. Don't beg me.
Please, they're going for.
Don't beg me.
For remaining with us. So you saw that. Now, I would want to believe that that's one of the most common cases, civil cases, like you would like to call it. Okay. Notes. Please, I know you guys use so many jargons, all those are legal jargons, but on this program, we try to break it down in simpler terms. So even if you're going to use some of these jargons here, but please try to explain to us so that everybody can easily understand. So in a case like this, so tell us, what's the right of the tenant and the landlord in that kind of contractual agreement relationship? Yeah, Henry?
Okay, first of all, I think we will start by, let's get to know who a landlord is and who a tenant is. A landlord happens to be a person who owns a property, simply speaking, who owns a property and allows another to go into it for a consideration of rent. It must not really be rent, it can be other things. Then a tenant is the person who agrees to go into a property of another for the payment of rent. Now, that's simply put. So the tenancy-landlord relationship exists when there is this consensus of mind, the both of them coming together to agree, okay, I rent my place to you and you pay me rent for it. Once that is agreed, a tenancy relationship has been formulated or can be said to exist. Now, once that exists, it now becomes an issue of the landlord now relinquishing part of his rights over a property to the tenant who now has the possessory right because of that consideration of rent that he has paid. So until the time the both of you agree that, let's say for 1 year, I'm paying this rent, we have different types of tenancy. It can be a fixed tenancy, it can be a yearly tenancy.
Whatever it is, okay?
Yes, so until that time for which rent has been paid expires, the landlord does not have the right to come into that property.
Okay, now that is where we have this issue. When I say expires, okay, I rent the house from January to December.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't the law, like we often hear, that's why there are many misconceptions we need to clear now. Stella, you're laughing. Doesn't the law say, okay, after my rent expires, I have 3 months, I have 6 months, I have 4 months to remain?
Okay, now, there's always a misconception with maybe lay people when it comes to that. For a yearly tenancy, you are entitled, if it's for a fixed term setting, because there is always a difference between a tenancy for a fixed term and a yearly tenancy. I will explain. If you're a yearly tenant...
When you say fixed term, can you explain that?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
A yearly tenant is a tenant that after 1 year, you move into another year, renewed just by payment of rent. But if you're a fixed tenant, you see in your agreement, it will read for a fixed term setting. That means after 1 year, your rents have expired.
And want my property back?
Yes. Now, for a yearly tenant, if you want to terminate a yearly tenant, 6 months running down to the termination of his tenancy, that is before the year runs out, you serve him the first notice. We have 2 notices. You serve him what we call the quick notice, 6 months quick notice. It's after the service of the 6 months quick notice, which will expire on the eve of the termination of the tenancy. Let's take, for instance, your tenancy will expire on the 1st of, or elapse on the 1st of December. The 6 months notice will be served in such a way that it will expire on the eve, rather.
30th of November.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. But that does not mean that if it starts earlier than then,
Okay, wait, so when you say it expires, so what happens on the 1st of December and I can't pay?
yeah, on the 1st of December now, in quotes, the tenancy have terminated. But because you are there under the law, procedures of law must also be used to eject you out of the house. Like the script we just watched now. You just can't come into somebody's house and start throwing their things out. In the process of doing that, you will create more problem for yourself as a landlord. So once that expires, the person is entitled to another 7 days owner's intention to recover possession. That is the second notice you serve to the tenant.
Okay.
Upon expiration of that 7 days,
And how long does that, how long?
that one is just for 7 days.
7 days, okay.
Yeah, it's more of like a hint. If you don't leave my property, I will take you to court. In the layman understanding.
Okay, 7 days,
After the 7 days owner's intention to recover possession, and the person does not vacate your property, that is when you now proceed to the court, which will either be the magistrate court.
Wait,
or
so
the
no, Henry. Wait, where did we hear the fact that, well, they can't evict me. I have 4 years. I'm not Choma. I mean, I have 4 months. The law says I have 4 months. I'm going to call my lawyer. Is it, Stella, please support me.
Actually, from what my learning friend said, he's correct. You know, there are procedures to evict a tenant from a property. The first step you take is there's what we call the pre-action notice. You write or you notify the tenant.
That's what as he's explained it.
Yes.
So, but he's explained all that now. But there's really the law doesn't say that even at the expiration of my rent, I have some extra months to stay there.
No, the law doesn't say that.
Okay. All right, so, we've just touched on that. I just wanted to clear that. Maybe, hopefully, if our viewer have any question on that, they would ask it. You can be part of this program by sending in a text message or a WhatsApp message only to our phone line, which is 081 177 02020. 081 177 82020. The number is showing on your screen. Send your message, text and WhatsApp only. Any civil issues that you want us to talk about. All right, let's move on to talk about another very popular one, property disputes, especially in our, I don't want to say our brothers in the East. Okay, anyhow, well, just property disputes. Who wants to go? Yeah, it's a common one. So, are there instances you might have handled, for instance, you just want to share with us, so it can be a guide for us to talk about it, Stella?
Yeah.
Or maybe give us an instance so that we can relate.
Okay. You know, this one happened here in Abuja.
Okay.
Where a landlord or a landowner sold a property to 3 different peoples.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait. And you gave them all papers?
Yeah. So during the time, okay, when my client now contacted us and now said, please, I would like you to be part of this transaction, this land transaction. So the next thing we did was to carry out what we call due diligence on the property, legal search at Aegis. So it was when we got to Aegis that we discovered that somebody else has already bought the property. Not only 1, not 2, not 3, almost like 5. So we now have to tell the client, no, this land, I don't think is advisable for you to. So what we did was to write to the landowner, telling him that, no, this land has been sold to different people and our clients will not be part of this land transaction. So that was how we canceled that transaction.
Okay, wait. Now, I want to buy land. Yeah, they tell me that, it's my land, I inherited it from someone told me, I inherited it from my father, you can buy it, see all the papers, everything is complete. What can I do? Can I just go ahead and pay him and say, guy, sign, or do I bring someone like you in to say, okay, listen, or do I go to Aegis, or do you say it's the locals that have the land, I'll go to the king or the chief? How can I get a property, a land, or, a property, let's say?
Yeah, depending on where the land is located. If the land is in a rural area, let's take Abuja, there are lands which are in rural area that what are they called? The municipal council can allocate for now. Then the ones in the by the provision of the Land Use Act. Lands in urban areas, but anywhere in the state, in the urban areas are being allocated by the governor. Then if it is in the rural area, then maybe by the local government chairman, as the case may be. So using Abuja now as a case study, we may say land in the urban areas should be allocated by the Minister of the FCT, while the other ones in the rural areas, sometimes you see these municipal area councils allocating land as well. So it depends on where the land is located. That will now necessitate where your search should be done. But I would always advise, like you said, before you do or before you get into any land transaction, there is need for you to contact a lawyer. It is not as simple as it always looks on the face of it. And to me, I will always advise people it's less expensive to get a lawyer to do the job for you rather than bringing in the lawyer when you've already messed it up.
Okay, so from the beginning, I get my lawyer. Yeah, how I even need to get a lawyer in the first place is one of the wahala that many of us don't know. Anyhow, it's time for us to take our first Vox Pop. Went on the street, like I told you earlier. We asked people if they are familiar with the different kinds of law or courts we have in Nigeria. So these were our findings.
I know of the Supreme Court. There's the Court of Appeal. There's Federal High Court. I think there's the State High Courts. We have the Customary Courts. There's Customary Court of Appeal, I know. There's the Magistrate Court.
Okay, I know we have Customary Court, High Court, Supreme Court.
High Court, Customary Court, Supreme Court, Court of Appeal.
Do I really know up to 5 types of court? I know Appeal Court, there's Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, Customary Court, High Court, Federal High Court.
Okay, we have Federal High Court, Court of Appeal. We have Syria Court,
I know about Court of Appeal. I know about the Supreme Court. I know about the National Industrial Court. I also know about, there's another court I know about. It's funny because I'm trying to recall it, but
We have Magistrate Court, and Supreme Court, High Court, Court of Appeal, and then traditional, I think it's traditional court or something, the one that deals with all the traditions of the people.
I know most of you, when I ask you that question, you always mention Supreme Court and Appeal Court, and we know the reason why. We know the reason why you always mention Supreme and Appeal Court. Everybody knows that one. Anyhow, so I wouldn't want to put myself on the hot spot here, so I'll just ask my guests to tell us the courts that we have in Nigeria. But I asked you to send in your messages, text message and WhatsApp only. And some of you have almost crashed this tab with your calls. Please don't call, just send messages so I can read as many as possible. All right, Stella, Harry, who wants to take us through the course we have? Harry? Okay.
Now, courts are basically divided into courts of record and some courts of summary jurisdiction. I will explain, Cecil. Now, the lower courts, like we call them, court of summary jurisdiction are the magistrate court, the district courts, the area courts, the customary courts, depending not when it's on appeal.
What kind of cases do I take to those courts?
Virtually all cases can go
Husband beats wife, bicycle hits me.
Yes, it depends on what the case is, the nature of the case.
Okay.
Yes, there are cases you can't take to court of summary jurisdiction. Let's take, for instance, dispute on land. You can take it there. It must be.
No, but you mentioned that some lands in rural areas, they are local to that area. So can't I take to my local court there?
No, as far as it's not related to custom, you can't take it to the customary court. It is the High Court that has jurisdiction by the provision of the Land Use Act. It is the High Court that has jurisdiction.
Wait, there is this one, the Islamic court.
The Sharia court.
Sharia.
Yes,
Is it under customary too?
Not really. Like I will tell you, customary courts, once it gets, by my trying to explain it between court of record and court of summary jurisdiction, once it goes on appeal, let's take for instance a customary court. If it gets up to customary court of appeal, that means after the first instance and you move up to the next one, you can't call it a court of summary jurisdiction again because it's now a court of record.
Okay, fine. Tell us the other part.
Yeah, so basically you have the magistrate court or the district court. If it is under the criminal jurisdiction, it becomes a magistrate court. Sure. If it's under its civil jurisdiction, it becomes a district court. So magistrate and district court.
Any messages here?
After that, you now move to the High Court.
Oh, I can't just go to the High Court straight.
No. You can go to the High Court straight, depending on the subject matter or subject of litigation. Then you have the High Court, which will either be the State High Court or that of the FCT or the Federal High Court. After the State and Federal High Court, you now move to the Court of Appeal. Appeals from the State High Court and Federal High Court goes to the Court of Appeal. And if you are still dissatisfied with what the Court of Appeal must have
you have money to pay your lawyer.
Exactly. You now go to the Supreme Court. Those are the, how will I put it now? That's the zenith of the litigation. If they say that, that is what it is.
Stella, I'll ask, you have to, no guys, we have like, I think we're getting close to 70 questions right now, but we'll see how quickly we can answer most of these. If they are similar, we'll just skip. So, Medley, good afternoon, and kudos to you for bringing this up. This is exactly what happened in Lagos, precisely, without notice of vacation from the house. My name is Ate Isaac Taiwo from Ikorodu in Lagos. I don't know what you're talking about, but I assume that you're talking about the quick notice thing. So I think we have a number of those, so we'll just take them together. Who is this? Someone, you did not write your name. Please, I want to know if it's possible, and well done, that a tenant is still on 6-month notice. If it's possible that at the same time the tenant leave, or he or she will pay for the time he or she has stayed.
That's Ms. Ray.
I am not...
Okay, Ms. Prophet, yeah. Sorry.
Please, I would love... Okay, let me just skip that. Let's take another one. Maybe, please send a message again, a little clearer this time. Let me take those who sent in the message earlier. How does a tenant who has been evicted get back his property after 2 years? Please note that. We'll come to that. Hi, Medley. Thanks for this show. In the case where there was no quit notice during the tenancy and the tenant's rent has expired, say by 1 day, and the landlord wants to recover his possession, what's the procedure? Okay, maybe we'll just take these two and just take it very quickly and very briefly. Yeah, so Stella, I want to take any one of them?
The last one.
This last one, who says that he wasn't given the quit notice you talked about, and the rent expired by, let's say, a day, and the tenant rent has expired by a day, and the landlord wants to recover his possession. What's the procedure? Okay, in this case, it's seeming like he's the landlord or something. Let's assume he's speaking as a landlord. He didn't serve a quit notice, and it's expired by a day. Well, expired is expired, right? So how does he get back his house? How does he get back his property?
Just like what my colleague said in Taria, I think these are one of the procedures, like he mentioned. We have almost 5 procedures in the sense to evict a tenant from a property. The first one, he said, is the 7 days owner's intention to recover premises. Okay. After that, 7 days has lapsed. Then the landlord can serve in 3 months' notice.
Yeah, in this case, he hasn't served anything. That's the question. He hasn't served anything, and
he has to follow the due process.
So now
that's the procedure.
Okay, yeah, but the rent has expired, Henry. He didn't serve me any notice. And suddenly he's now coming to tell me to evict my house. I say, Oga, you have not served me anything.
Let me tell you, that's a misconception some tenants do have. You are being served a 6-month notice because you're on a yearly tenancy. What the landlord is actually telling you is that your rent will not be renewed. Our agreement will not be renewed by your payment of rent. please, upon the termination of your rents, of our agreement, I need my space.
property back.
Yes. So if upon the termination of your tenancy, that is, let's say your tenancy is supposed to expire, let's say on the 1st of December, after that, that landlord, all he owes you is a 7 days owner's intention to recover possession.
Okay, I think let's just leave it at that. I asked one of the questions earlier, I've lost it already. Okay, I'm still trying to call on people to take the message, and people are calling. All right, who is this one now? You say, I'm enjoying your program. I live in an area where there are a lot of land grabbers. In order not to be scammed or duped or lose one's acquired land, what is the legal way we can get acquisition of the land sealed in order to keep the land safe? How do I get a lawyer in that case? Richard Eswagu from Benin, Edo State. You want to land grabbers? I don't know if you have, you are property lawyers too.
Yes.
Yes, so please note that. Let me take another one. Let's take two. Good afternoon, my name is Joseph. Joseph, please, where are you writing from? I have a self-contained and the tenant that is on it has been there for 2 years without paying. I've done everything I need on my part. He refused to leave, taking him to a police station, and the police is siding him in this case. What do you think I should do? I am not laughing, Joseph. This is a serious matter. So, and these are lawyers. You are speaking like you are landlord. I have a feeling you are landlord because you have not sided the tenant.
The truth is that, you know why it's laughable to us is that people still believe they want to do things that should be done by a lawyer by themselves. Why go to the police station for a tenancy, relationship?
Okay, now that is a good question.
It's not a crime.
So, at what point do I go to the police station? Police station is, where do I go to? Okay, let's pause on landlord-tenant relationship.
Yeah.
A vehicle hits me, and he's refusing to pay for my treatment. Should I go to the police to report, or do I come to the lawyer?
No, there are two things that happens. There are two things that happens when you are hit by a vehicle. It can either be an action in tort, which makes it civil, or an action in criminal liability, let's say for reckless driving. You report to the police. The police will only do their job to the extent of this is, okay, a criminal offense of reckless driving, which have caused harm. Then for the civil, you can as well come under the tort of negligence because the person was invariably driving recklessly. And under the tort of negligence, you can still bring an action for damages for him to fix your car. So
okay, so who do I go to? I go to a lawyer or a police?
Now, it's always better. These policemen, the roadworthy, those ones will be there to do the sketches because that will definitely be helpful. Those sketches, maybe before you go to call a lawyer and all that, they must have told the vehicle out. And
okay, but in Joseph's case now, he should meet a lawyer.
He has the one that has a one-bedroom apartment.
Has a one-bedroom apartment.
You contact a lawyer.
So, Joseph, your answer is please contact a lawyer and we'll pick it up from there.
Simple.
Land grabbers, Stella.
Okay, like what the viewer asked, the question he asked, I think one of the ways to protect your interest in a land, like he already said, one is, you have to get a lawyer that will draft the legal title documents. For instance, the deed of assignment, the power of attorney. With these legal documents can protect you from any harm, from any land grabbers, and also try to perfect it at any of the land registry.
It's all still the same answer he gave. Yeah. Consult a lawyer.
Yes. Very important.
All right, so
you just can't do without it.
You just can't. How are you feeling like right now? We can't do without you.
In fact, it should be an offense for you to do certain things or to be done by a lawyer.
Okay, you tell us what are those things that we can't do without a lawyer. I went on the street also. We sought from people if they have lawyers, if they have their own lawyer, or if they know the process on how to get a lawyer, or do I just say, my daughter's sister's friend read law, let me just call her to. So how do I get a lawyer? So that's our Vox Pop coming up next.
are different procedures. Like my lawyer, I just walk up to his chamber and I asked him that I want him to be my lawyer, and he didn't charge me any fee. He just tell me to explain what I want him to do, which I explained to him. Then since then we are together.
Actually, I don't have a lawyer, but the procedure in having a lawyer is this. If you want to employ a lawyer, maybe you have a case that you have to pursue, you have to first brief your lawyer first. So after briefing your lawyer will now approach the court to file your case. So after your lawyer file your case, there will now be a hearing of the case. So after hearing, so the court will now sit for both defense and the petitioner to come and defend their case.
The procedure I know is that when you have a case or you feel like having a lawyer that will back you up in any case, you go to his office, introduce who you are, and link him up so that he will be with you anytime any trouble comes out.
I have a lawyer based on certain incidents happen, so we went out to get a lawyer, and from then I now continue to maintain that relationship with the lawyer. If you have a disagreement with somebody and you find yourself in a court of law, a police station, they say go and get a lawyer. You may have somebody who have a lawyer already. The person now, okay, I have a lawyer, he will help you in this case. So he brings that person in, and from there you continue.
Mr. Macaroni, one of my favorite skit makers. Very, very interesting. My guys, no, Navidato.
You don't expect to get quality service when you've not paid.
Hello, if he's your client, now he's going to pay you later.
Just imagine the switch from when he has not been paid to when he was paid.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. So before that, we saw about what people were talking about if they have lawyers, how the steps to getting a lawyer. Maybe you want to take that very, very quickly. Stella, how do I get a lawyer? How do I get myself a lawyer? Or is it until I have an issue, then I'll start going to look for, I used to have his number somewhere.
Everybody needs a lawyer. It's only when you have issue that you contact a lawyer.
Okay, so would I be paying you when I don't have issue? Henry, I'm not going to be paying you when I don't have issue. Because I ask you, you have not paid this month, I am your lawyer. But I've not had any case in the last 2 years.
Yeah, for juristic persons, that's for companies. I believe whether they have issue or not, they should have a lawyer. Because that's what we call the retainership. Because in their day-to-day running of their businesses, there is no how they will tell me they won't run into hitches. Yeah. So the best thing is to always have a lawyer available. Okay. And for you to do that, that's when you go into retainership, maybe quarterly or yearly.
Or
hourly.
Yes. And for individuals?
Individuals. Let's be real here. Unless you are that kind of a big man.
Yeah,
yes,
she does have. Yeah, sound like me that hardly gets in trouble.
You should always have only when you need one.
When I need one, okay. All right, so Henry, I have a couple of questions directed to you, so I'll read your questions, and if you can, as quickly as possible, take it. Hello, sir. So my question is directed to Henry Leonard. I paid for an apartment in full as agreed with the landlord, but didn't move into it for some time due to a reason best known to me, only for the landlord to rent out the same apartment I paid for to another person just because I didn't move into it 2 weeks after payment. That's question number 1 for you. So question number 2 for you. Good afternoon, Mr. Henry. I want to be like you when I grow up. Wow. Please, I want to ask, when should the rent be paid? Is it before the tenant moves in or a year after? From Kaduna.
I think I understand what she's trying to
Okay, please answer the 2 questions briefly, quickly.
Yes, let me start with the second one. Okay, maybe the first one. The first one is with regards to, because he paid rent and did not move into the property and the landlord went ahead to re-rent the place to another person. That's wrong. Our agreement is, like I said earlier in this show, the landlord, you give me a place, me as a tenant, I pay for the place. I can decide to just keep my properties in there and move out. I can decide to just keep one of my shoes in that property. I've paid for it. And upon signing of that agreement, I have what we call possessory right of that property.
But he should have even gotten the key to the place.
Yes, so I wonder how the man went ahead. He can bring an action against the landlord, and he will recover both his rent and damages as well. Yes.
Okay, all right. And the other person wants to be like you when he grows up. It says, when should the rent be paid? Before or after, year after?
Now, in Nigeria, we pay rent in advance. You pay rent before you move into the property.
Okay.
And upon expiration of that rent, if you want to continue, you pay another in advance. Rent are not paid in arrears. So if you are maybe, let's say, 2 days in arrears, like I said earlier, the landlord already have a right to serve you 7 days intention to recover possession and evict you from his property.
Okay, that's in Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
Okay, so Nigeria rent is paid ahead.
In advance.
Are there places where it's paid?
I can't remember any now, but in Nigeria specifically, rents are paid in advance.
Okay. Oh, this program is already seeming like a that's what we're discussing. And I'm tempted to just relate with it because the questions are so many. I hope some of your questions have been answered already, so we'll just get to skip it. But let me see the much I can ask. I'm reading your text messages now. In the situation where quick notice is not given to you within the period your rent is running, it was brought after the rent. It was brought in after the rent. Will they still give you 6 months? Well, I think he's answered already. He said that that's when the 7 days owner's intention will come into play.
Yes.
All right. What's the rent of quick notice required for tenants whose tenancy has expired? 7 days. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Write your name or where you're writing from. If not, I may end up skipping your message. Thank you. I paid 315,000 naira for 2-bedroom flat, and my landlord said that the rent is 550,000 naira. No repairs was done, and he said I should pack out if I can't pay. Do I have a right to, I think, sue him? Okay, he was in the property. I think the increase by 200. So please note that we have a question. What are the activities of the High Court? I guess that's High Court you are trying to write. Someone wants to know what does the High Court do. Stella, please note that you take that. Hi, how will the tenant cope after sending them out of the house and they don't have anywhere?
Should we take it to an NGO?
Yes, please. Hi guys, kudos to you. You did a good job over there. I've rented a house for the past 15 years. Suddenly, the owner decided to sell it. I offered to buy it, but the price was on the high side. Now, if someone buys it, now, how many months am I entitled to stay? Anayo from Gombe. Okay, so yeah, he wants Gombe. Anayo wants to find out. Now, someone has bought the house. How long is he entitled to stay? Does he have? Let's not start.
This is another problem that we do encounter at times. Let's take, for instance, you've paid the landlord, and the landlord has need for money and sold his house. The question remains that the answer is that the new landlord steps into the shoes of the old landlord and does not have any right in excess of the old landlord.
Well, but he may want to have his own agreement and everything.
No, I already have an agreement with the old landlord. He's now buying, like this, what I always tell you, you buy a property sometimes, you buy both assets and liability tied to that property. You're buying this property and you already have a liability, in quote, it shouldn't be called a liability anyway, but there is a right, an equitable right already tied to that property. And you just can't say because you bought a property, you evict a rent who is there statutorily. You cannot do that.
Also, he wants to turn it to a school.
You must accommodate, in buying that property, you must accommodate the interest of that tenant when you are buying that property. Okay. So if his rent is for 1 year, you bought the property 6 months into his rent, you will allow him finish his rent.
Well, is that the business of the two landlords to agree on that?
No, because that is not it's not the interest of the landlord that is being discussed now, but we have the interest of the tenant tied to that of the landlord. So you must accommodate that interest of the tenant as well.
So if he asks me to leave the property, I can look for Stella. Okay. All right. So okay. Before you answer your question, of what the High Court does, Harry, the 350, 550,000 naira increment thing.
Now, that's another thing. I always advise people to get a lawyer before you do things. Why? In the tenancy agreement, that's what we call the rent review clause. If you don't have a lawyer, you wouldn't know that there should be a rent review clause. Typical example is what happened in Abuja. You move into a property of 1 million. After the renovation, the landlords come back to it and say, oh, this my property should be for 5 million. Because of the renovation we've done in the property, he's beginning to see that he gave you the property at a giveaway price. Now you see the landlord coming in next week or next year to say, no, you are no longer paying 1 million but 3 million. That's wrong. So in the rent review clause, you may have something like the increment of this rent shall not be done till after 3 years with both parties agreeing on it. And the increment may not be more than 10% of the market value, of the present market value. You see, when you do this, there can't be arbitrary increase. Your rent cannot be increased arbitrarily. Yeah, but maybe agreement between landlord and tenants, and like I always say anyway, the landlord is the god.
Okay. Stella, please, very briefly and quickly. High Court, someone is asking what does the High Court do?
High Court, like my colleague said, is a court of record. Is a court of competent jurisdiction that entertains both criminal and civil matters.
Okay.
Thank you, yeah. Just in short.
All right, in brief. Macaulay Great from Bayelsa State is asking, I rented the property for 2 years. I stayed a year and 2 months before relocating to another place while trying to move my things out. The landlady rented the place and refused to balance me. It's been almost a year and she has refused to balance me. He goes on to, so he wants to know what he can do in that regard. I am just taking the messages because I need us to talk about, there are quite a number of things we needed to talk about on this program today, but as it is, landlord tenant wahala. Everywhere. You are passing by us everywhere. I don't know. I don't know. Oh no. So anyhow, so many people it's not even allowing us to treat other things. I want us to touch on the issue of two things: police battery, police beating up somebody. Can I now take the police to the police station? No, it's not. I think he said or maybe the police. He's a policeman. He lives in my compound. He takes something that belongs to me. He doesn't want to refuse it. He's criminal, remember? Yes. So can I say take it to a police station, to his own police station?
Why not? Okay,
well, anyhow, what do I do in that regard? Another thing I wanted us to talk about very quickly would be marital divorce issues and child custody matters. Now, on what ground? Because unfortunately, quite unfortunately, many marriages today end just as they begin. So, on what grounds can one start filing for divorce? What does the law say about it? I mean, or is it that many young people today we are very impatient? I mean, it's a long thing, a very long discussion. But Stella, I'd like you to touch on either of this.
Okay, when we talk about divorce, matrimonial issues, I have to point out the applicable laws that governs this. We have the Matrimonial Causes Act of 1970.
Matrimonial
Causes Acts.
Okay.
Of 1970.
Okay.
Yeah, it states the grounds for dissolution of marriage.
Is that what we still use?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So quickly, what does it say?
Then we have like 7 grounds. The first one, but first thing you have to know, or the fact you have to establish is that you must prove beyond reasonable doubt that the marriage has broken down irretrievably. Then the first step, or the first, what I call it, this, that's section 15, subsection 2, paragraph A. It says, 1, the refusal to consummate the marriage is a ground
Okay.
for a divorce.
If the marriage is not consummated, there could be a ground for
Of
divorce, no
course.
matter how long, even if it is 2 days or 10 days or 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Then the second one is when the respondents have committed adultery and the petitioner finds it intolerable to live with.
Okay, that's
It's
what I
also a
say.
ground.
Okay, beyond. Okay.
Yes. Then the third one is when we talk about leaving the country for at least a minimum of 1 year.
Deserted.
You understand? Then the fourth one is desertion for 2 years. Then desertion for 3 years. Then we also talk about presumption of debts. Is also one of the grounds for dissolution of marriage.
All right.
Under this act.
Under that act.
Yes.
Okay, and those are.
And there are other grounds too.
Okay.
But this is a major.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because we don't have so much time, I would like us to pause on that. That's just an introduction to that one. I don't know if I leave you, but you are going to start taking us on that level. So let's digest this. Stella, you want to talk about, can I take a police to a police station? Why not?
Yeah, but to me, I think they have an agency that is responsible for that, for police misconduct on a person.
So,
we have the Police Service Commission.
Oh.
You have to, for you to lodge a complaint, you have to present well-detailed incident, as in how the incident happened. You have to state it. Then the time, the dates, the venue or the location where it happened. Then if there's any witness, anybody that witnessed the incident, you also include
but
his or
sometimes
her
we're
name.
afraid that they want to protect their own. Okay.
Now, if I will even come in there, it depends on the action of the police you want to report.
Yeah.
Now, let's take for instance, I'll paint a scenario. If a lawyer offends you, the first thing is that he's a citizen. And as far as somebody has violated your fundamental rights, you have right to take the person to the police who has the duty to maintain law and order. You can as well choose to take him to the Police Service Commission, where you will be treating in his professional etiquette.
Yeah. Okay.
And not really the
As
offense.
a civilian.
Yes, so if you are walking on the road and a police with no due cause slaps you, take him to the police station. I have a police who trespassed my land.
Sorry.
I took him to the police station. Even though he thought he had the big upper hand, he took the case of we went to the administrative to complete it there. He's a citizen.
Henry, you are a lawyer. You know, police and lawyers, they are not best of friends.
No, for me, they are my friends.
They are our friends.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that part where you talk about when the police just slaps you on the way, then I take you to the police station to say, this police just slapped me. They just slap you. Now you can't carry and come here.
No, see.
Okay,
let me just give you an as far as Abuja is concerned, I have cause to ask them one day if they have different training. Because I've gone to police station in other places. But the ones here in Abuja are more civil.
No, really, I have met many
of them.
Many very nice police officers in Abuja, I must say. I really commend them. So we have very limited time. Oh my, there's a question I wanted to just take and I can't find it right now. It's gone already. Okay, let us take. Someone was asking a question. Okay, I can't find the question, but let me say, he asked a question saying he bought a property for 4-point-something million. Well, he bought the property. Then the landlord said that the plantation in the property doesn't belong to him.
The plantation?
Yeah, there's a plantation. There's a tree or something in the property where he bought.
Yes.
And the landlord is saying it doesn't belong to him. So he wants to know what to do. After all, he bought it. He's paid for it. And like you say, once it's the entire, how did you...
Yes. Everybody that buys the land buys what is on it.
Yeah.
So the person is Adamawa.
Yeah, let me read it precisely. Hello, I bought a house worth 3.5 million, and the landlord said the plantation in the compound or in the house is not my own. Do I have a right to own it or not? Joseph from Mubi, Adamawa State.
Okay. coming from Adamawa, I have a sentimental attachment to that.
Okay, you have some.
That's where I was born, bred, watered, and that's where I still call home, even though I'm an Igbo boy. So, like the principle we always say, permit me, I'll use a bit of Lego jargon here. Quickly plat at us, solo sodit. He who buys the land, buy what is on it up until high heavens. But there are exceptions to this. Let's take, for instance.
Do that very quickly because we're running out.
Okay, let's say, if a governor, let's say, land in an urban place, you are given a land, but on getting to that land, this land were being used by locals. That's where you see them creating accommodating what we call payment of economic trees. In Abuja here, we call it settling the locals. Especially with cashews.
Cashew nuts.
So once you see them there, these are people means of livelihood. Before you take that out, you pay for those economic trees.
Okay. Stella, we're leaving now. Your last words. What's the last word you want to leave with us just to say bye-bye?
My advice to the viewers is I always encourage everyone to get a lawyer. No matter what you're doing, whether it is business, transaction.
A lawyer. Henry, last words quickly.
Last word to every citizen of Nigeria is to stay out of trouble. Yes. Why do I say this? You may have a right, yes, written, but sometimes before you will pursue and get that your right, when that right is handed over to you, even after going to court and all that, it may be worthless. So the best thing to me is always stay out of trouble.
All right, from Henry, it's stay out of trouble. From Stella, it's get a lawyer. And from me, it's really nice having to do this together with you. We'll be leaving now, and I'll leave you in the hands of this very pretty young female rapper I saw. I just liked it. So I thought, okay, maybe we'll have a peep into her talent. Her name is Michaela, and she sang a very beautiful rap song. My name is Cecil Egbele. We will continue this program later on. Bye-bye.